Got him? All right. All right. Yeah. Oh. Hello, we're back. Let's see, what are we calling this? We're calling this a brain dead moment. Yes, we're back. I was playing with my earpiece here and thought we had not come back yet. Come on. Come on. I guess, hey, we have Cary Fotias on the line. Cary, save us here. We're looking silly because we didn't realize we were back on air. How are you, Cary?
I'm great. I'm great. 2 weeks to our Super Bowl.
Yes, and I know that. Now, listen, you are a guy who pulls out all the stops when it comes to Breeders' Cup, and one of the things over the years, you've really provided some great insights to your subscribers and customers with respect to the Euros. Why don't you just talk about that first, and we'll talk about that in the context of your Breeders' Cup clinic that's coming up.
Yeah, well, about 20 years ago, I was introduced to a fellow named Nick Morden, who was living in England at the time, and Nick has, probably, I guess he's kind of like the Andy Beyer, you might say, of England at the time. He's written several books about racing, and he's a real master of studying different types of angles and et cetera, et cetera. So over the years, I've developed a good friendship with Nick, and for the last 6-7 years, he's joined us on the Equiform Breeders' Cup Teleclinic, our annual Breeders' Cup shindig. And the guy just, if there's anybody that works harder at this game than I do, it's him. I mean, this guy's unbelievable. I mean, he not only knows the European horses. Once I called him up and I said, hey, Nick, a client of mine is asking me about this horse from New Zealand who's shipping to Australia to run in a race. Oh, yeah, I know that horse. He's very good going 6 furlongs, but past that, I wouldn't touch him. I mean, the guy, he's really got an encyclopedic knowledge of international racing, international form, as they call it. And he'll be joining me and John Preachy on Friday, November 5th from 9 to 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time for our 7th annual Breeders' Cup Teleclinic. And, if you haven't come to one of those before, I'd encourage you to check it out because it's really, nobody really does it quite like Equiform. I mean, we go over every race. We give you all the insight on, in my opinion, the best expert on the European horses. You get the extras, the shorts, the pattern guide, the legends. And the great thing is, you don't really have to be there because if you can't make the live teleclinic, we tape the thing, and a couple hours after the teleclinic's over, you can just go to your inbox, click on your email, and they're sitting for you. It'll be links to the MP3 audio files, and you can listen to the thing whenever you want. And of course, the hallmark of the event is the Equiform proprietary odds line and betting strategies for all the races. So it's really a unique type of package, and for those listeners out there who haven't attended before, it's something you should consider because I mean, obviously I'm a little biased, but I don't think anybody gives you the kind of info we do.
Cary, let me ask you this, just kind of as a tease. I know that you're not a last-minute guy, so do you have any preliminary thoughts that you could share about a few of these Euros that are expected to come over? I mean, they just announced yesterday that Workforce is coming, is on track to come. He's the ARC winner. The ARC winner hasn't done that well. There are a couple of 2-year-olds. Tale Untold and Together, and I think Godolphin had White Moonstone under consideration for the 2-year-old fillies turf. And then there's all the Euros who might come to the marathon. Just any thoughts that you have at this point about any Euro
runners?
I'll
tell you this. I was calling an old buddy of mine, a poet who lives out on Marrowstone Island, which is off the Olympic Peninsula in Washington, and the guy doesn't know anything about horses. But he said, hey, a friend of mine's friend owns this horse, Paco Boy. Do you know anything about him? So Paco Boy, whenever I hear Paco, I think of Serpico. And that big shaggy dog he had, and the girlfriend going, it's over! It's over! Wait a minute. But anyways, I think that horse is coming over, and he's had a lot of tough luck. I mean, I think he's faced Goldacova 4 times and gone down to
in the mile. You're talking about in the mile,
I'm talking
right?
about. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't get into the Europeans till Nick sends me the stuff. Just what I read, but I will second your notion that ARC winners do not do well in the race. Usually, it's the horses that run third or fourth and don't really extend themselves, because the ARC is such a crushing race that to come back out of that in 3-4 weeks, usually they don't run too well. But
well, the favorite will be running with it, Becabod, and I do believe Plumania.
Yeah,
from Andre Fabre.
Yeah, they're just. I mean, what I'm really interested to see, I'd like to see Goldakova. I don't know where they're pointing, because I don't think. I mean, not Goldakova. I'd like to see the Giants Causeway, the big turf horse. What's his name? Gio Ponte.
Okay.
I want to see Gio Ponte go in the mile, because that race he pulled at Keeneland a couple of weeks ago, I didn't think he was going to get there. I mean, what a turn of foot this horse, and that was at a mile, I think, that race at Keeneland. And I just don't think Gio Ponte is going to be as good on conventional dirt as he was on the synthetic. So rather than run him in the Classic, I'd like to see him run him, that would really be a matchup, Paco.
That's great. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, though. Okay, in the same way, you'd rather see Gio Ponte in the mile, and they're considering the Classic. Patio Prado is heading to the Classic and not to the turf.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. I mean, who am I to question? Yeah, well, I am someone to question. I think they're out of their mind.
I'm glad you questioned yourself.
Maybe they figure. I mean, maybe they're not as crazy. Maybe they're crazy like a fox in the sense that just to cash a check. I mean, the second string Europeans have been coming over here and kicking butt in the turf races. So what's going to happen when the first stringers come over? So maybe they figure, they got no shot in the turf. So maybe in the dirt in the Classic they can clunk into the Superfect or something. I don't know. It's a $5 million, $6 million purse. So fourth place might even be worth like $300,000 or something. So maybe it's just a money. I don't know. But I'm saying they must have a reason to be doing it. But I got to tell you, I haven't been this pumped up for a Breeders' Cup since Easy Go or Sunday Silence. I just think the matchups are intriguing. You got Boys at Toscanova going against Uncle Mo and the Juve. I mean, I've been making the Equiform numbers for 20 years. These are the two fastest early 2-year-olds I've seen in 20 years. I mean, this is some crop of 2-year-olds. I mean, the horses that ran behind Boys at Toscanova, Wine Police, Stay Thirsty, and Wine Police, and any other year, these horses would be standouts. But this Uncle Mo and Boys at Toscanova, it's just not that they're running fast. As you know, at Equiform, we like to look at the way they run fast.
How they run fast.
And these horses are running what we call like compressions, reversals, which means they're expending their energy in an optimal fashion, which means, despite the breeding even on Boys at Toscanova, I don't think they're going to have any problem stretching out around 2 turns. I mean, hey, people thought Secretariat wasn't going to get a 1.25 miles because of the Bold Ruler, but when you're a freak, you're a freak. It doesn't really matter.
Nick?
Cary, speaking of freaks, it seems like the American horse racing public has split into 2 camps about Zenyatta. There are people that are just convinced that she's going to win the Classic, and people that think that she's finally going to get her comeuppance, because of the dirt and the caliber of competition and that sort of thing. And I'm just wondering if you're leaning toward being, what kind of freak are you leaning toward being?
Well, here's my thing on Zenyatta. I believe it was the late great Joe Hirsch who said, there once was a horse named Kelso, but only once. Well, I'm going to update that for the modern era. There once was a horse named Zenyatta, but only once. This horse, you just throw out the times, you throw out everything. This horse is all about heart and finishing kick, okay? Hey, even on the last year when Zenyatta was going in the Classic, when I made the Equiform proprietary odds line for the Classic, I had Quality Road as my favorite, Rip Van Winkle as my second choice based on the usual Euro hype, and I had Zenyatta my third choice. I mean, I really didn't think she was going to be able to, that she should be the favorite in that field, but I saw it with my own eyes. I was out there at Santa Anita. I was playing in that big $10,000 handicapping championship. Make a long story short, I went all in on Quality Road. Then when he acted up, I had to go back and re-bat in the last minute. I bet it all on Gioponte, like, 2,400 to win and some exacta boxes with Zenyatta and some other horses. I thought I was not only going to win and make a big score for myself, but win the $100,000 first prize in the tournament. Here comes Zenyatta out of nowhere to nail me. And you know what? I didn't even care. If some other random horse had beat me, I would have cared. But when she put on that move, I said, "Man, this horse is one for the ages." Now, and as good as Rachel was last year, I was always, Zenyatta's the better horse. I said, you put him in the starting gate at 1.25 miles, and Zenyatta's going to win the race. But anyways, that's another debate. Whether she's going to win this year, I mean, we've had all the hullabaloo with Beyer, with his column. And yeah, if you measure this horse by the Equiform performance figure, she's nothing special. I mean, that race she won 2 back was, she ran a number that an allowance horse, a non-winners of 1 would win, could have run. Mm-hmm. But you can't measure this horse by numbers, because what happens is when she has to run an 80 or a big number, she does it, just like she did in the Breeders' Cup, just like she's done in some other races. She reminds me of the great Forgo, who would just win by a neck, a head, a lip, a nose, because that's all he had. Some horses really do know where the wire is, and she's one of those horses. And if you measure her by what really counts on synthetic surfaces, she's just in a league of her own. And what counts on most of these synthetic surfaces is finishing ability. In other words, it's very similar to turf racing in that the final, you can't go judge a horse's ability on the final numbers. You got to. I mean, this horse comes home in 27 and change, 28 and 1, 27 and 3, 28 and 2. There's not another horse out there that can come home like that. And I don't care, my all-time favorite, of course, is still Secretariat, but he lost races. Yeah, on his best, do I think he would beat Zenyatta? Of course. But on there's something to be said for durability and showing up every time. I mean, I think a huge amount of credit has to go to John Shirreffs, to Mike Smith, to the whole Zenyatta team, to go 19 for 19 against pretty good competition, including the best in the world last year at Santa Anita in the Breeders' Cup Classic. You got to be a pretty good horse. So this Beyer bashing to me is totally, or him bashing, not bashing Zenyatta, but saying he can't put her in her pantheon, to me is ridiculous, because it would be like saying a turf horse who waits and waits and waits and then makes his move late and gets up by a head and neck. If he won 19 in a row, you wouldn't say he was one of the greatest horses ever. Of course you would.
All right, Cary, let me ask you this. It's Sunday, and they got a few races that they're going to run today. I presume you're in races today. Where are you playing?
No, I haven't looked at anything. I'm leaving for Michigan tomorrow to visit my folks, and then I'm heading there to the Breeders' Cup. So today's a chill-out day. Of course, I'll look at a couple of races later, because that old saying, you got to make at least one bet every day. Otherwise, you might be walking around lucky and not even know it. But in any event, I'm just saying, this time Zenyatta will be my favorite in the Breeders' Cup, and with the Secretariat movie out there, I just think it would be, it would just be something else. I mean, the real irony of it is if she loses the Breeders' Cup Classic, she could, lose one race in her career and never be Horse of the Year, which would just be a total shame. Mm-hmm.
All right, Dr. Fotias, we appreciate your time today. We encourage folks to contact you at equiform.com and find out about your teleclinic and to avail themselves of the opportunity. You have a safe trip, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah, you guys take care, and I really think this is going to be a good one, this Breeders' Cup. It's going to be one we're going to remember for a long time. There's a lot of good storylines, so let's hope they all make it and they all get home safely.
Amen.
Okay.
All right, Nick.
Okay, Cary.
All
Thanks
right,
a lot.
Yep.
Be well.
Yeah.
We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, Phil Gregoire from Raceflow. We got a few slides with some information for you. After that, it'll be your phone calls and emails. And we did have an email a couple weeks ago who asked about resources or the process for trying to get a handle on the Breeders' Cup. We have a little bit of information for you on that. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This portion of the program brought to you by the Teletheater at 711 Central Avenue in Albany. All the fun, all the action, all year round. Capital OTB, the region's premier horse racing simulcast facility, featuring the country's most prestigious tracks. Visit one of our more than 40 branches, wager at our Easy Bet locations, or open a Capital Bets account and wager today from the comfort of home. There's plenty of racing excitement for everyone. Your chances are better with Capital OTB.
We're back, and I got my cue this time. Yes, we're back, and we're joined by our good friend Phil Gregoire from Raceflow. In the past, Rich Cristiano from West Point and Sovereign was our leading tip-tout and parimutuel performer. Right now, the Raceflow boys are pushing Richie's record. So, Phil, welcome back to the show. You guys had a couple of good weeks, and good week last week. So, welcome back. Recap it. We'll show them the slides.
Good morning, gentlemen. Happy to be on again.
Good morning.
Let's take a quick look at last week. Like Tom said, we ran second with Show Trial and the second at Belmont. Buddy's Dream ran third, and I believe it was the third race at Belmont. And then our Keeneland top play, we talked about two horses, Insider Trip and En Fuego, who had both exited back-to-back speed favoring race flows in which they were up against it. They ran around like trained mice, ran 1-2. They exacted return $74. The interesting thing you might want to note is that actually the race, that flow of that race, the pace scenario of that race, if you will, was slightly speed favoring as well. Both horses closed from behind it. Both seem in sharp form and are worth another look when they return. Briefly, we're going to talk about some new Racing Flow subscription rates. We've kind of changed some of our subscription. We now offer a full-service monthly package it's a $50 fee. We used to have a separate Racing Flow data package. We used to sell our upgrade-downgrade reports separately. We've decided to go ahead and put it all together. So if you're a subscriber, you receive everything that we offer. Data in both PDF and TRIPS files for uploading, what we call a new Extremes profile, where we kind of break out a handful of the top races from each week, and of course every upgrade-downgrade report we offer. So it's a great savings for the customer. It's actually easier for us, and it's something you might want to take a look at. Let's see. Moving on, we have a bias. We'll talk about a couple of bias days. The Monday, 10-11 at Belmont.
We got that slide. There we go. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So this might be a repeat from last week, possibly. Main track was modestly closer biased on Monday. I guess that was the holiday. That's probably why we did not talk about it. Last Sunday, the day we were on, the main track was, again, modestly closer biased, a plus 135. Ideally, with our bias numbers, we're looking for things in the 150s and higher. We're really going to be paying attention. This is something to kind of take note and combine with either a flow or some other factors you may use. Hollywood Park, Saturday, October 16th, the main track, again, modestly closer biased, right around that 150 bubble that we like. Take note of that. And again, closer biases, you're going to want to take a look at speed horses, combine them with maybe some pace scenario issues that may have been involved in the race, work your charts, come up with some plays. And then Monmouth, the most extreme day we had last week, Saturday the 16th, extremely closer friendly. The main track was a plus 243, very, very high number for us. Again, we're going to want to downgrade winning closers. You're going to want to upgrade speed horses. Again, sometimes you can get caught because sometimes race flows, pace scenarios, individual races within that closer bias may be the opposite. Again, that's where Racing Flow comes in handy. You have all that information from us. And let's see, next slide.
Yep.
This is kind of a new thing that we've been adding. Many of you out there who have, responded to our free offers, who are on our mailing list, we've periodically offered free reports. Most recently, this is one of them. Many of you have taken advantage of it. This most likely will be the last free offer we'll have through the end of the year. So, again, let's take a quick look. October 14th. Both of these are turf races. Now, these New York turf horses we may not see again here locally. Whether or not they ship down to Florida is another case based on their class levels, whatever. So again, October 14th, Scotch Mallow, race flow of plus 272, extremely closer friendly, meaning the speed burned itself up, essentially stopped moving, everyone else finished behind them. The BL12, the 19.7, for Brad's My Hero at 29.2. That is the combined first two calls. That tells you just how far back that winner really was. And that's a pretty far distance. And there is a correlation. Race, the faster the higher the flow, the most likely the winner is going to be coming from far back. We have 5 speed favoring events at Belmont, October 14th, well positioned. You're going to want to take a look at horses that tried to close into that. I believe Anak Nakal was in that race. Kind of off the top of my head, he was off an extended layoff. He ran a fairly credible race. He was a short price and probably will be again, but he's maybe worth noting.